What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video, and today we have What If Issei Found Out the Truth Part 6. You already know the like goal is try to hit at least 1,000 likes, and if you guys want to know exactly when I upload my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. If you guys want to know what if on Goku's, that'll be down in the description below with my second channel, as well as if you scroll to the channel things, you can just look at the related channels and you'll find Ann Popowski right there. But please go ahead and hit the sub on that. Thank you guys so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing, and expect a huge movie to be coming out soon. I'm going to try to do like a one-shot, like hopefully it'll be 3 to 2 hours, something like that. So once again, thanks for all the support. Remember, Issei the Godslayer is born. I do have ideas. I haven't exactly started writing it, but don't worry. I just have so much work to do, so I haven't started writing it yet. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, if you're sure, said Issei, snapping Irina out of her thoughts. The trio made their way to Issei's apartment in silence before finally arriving, just as the sun had started to set. So which rooms do you girls want? All the rooms are free, well aside from mine, obviously, but feel free to come in any time, asked Issei. The duo looked at each other before giving a silent agreement. Could we have rooms opposite each other? Asked Irina. Sure. Ground floor or the floor above that? Asked Issei. The latter. It would be the best if we are as close as possible to you, especially if we need to make a baby in the future, said Zenobia, getting Irina to look at her with a blush. I think if we're going to make a baby, we would probably need to be in the same room, laughed Issei. Fair point, but it couldn't hurt, responded Zenobia with a nod. No worries, let me just go grab your 2 keys. 1 sec, said Issei before dashing into the complex. Zenobia, you're still too forward, chided Irina. On the contrary, Irina, it seems I'm beginning to see some success. Not only did Issei take a practicing tool from me today, he didn't say it was too soon for us to talk about making a baby, said Zenobia calmly, causing Irina to pause and think on it. Ah, here they are. Your room is on the left. Zenobia, yours is on the right. Irina. Well, both are identical, so feel free to switch if you want to, said Issei as he handed the girls each key. What about a key for your room? Asked Zenobia. Well, I do have a key, but I actually never really lock my door, which means people tend to come in on their own, said Issei, turning towards Irina at the end, who smiled cutely and stuck her tongue out. So don't worry about that. The keys are just mostly so you girls can have privacy if you want, explained Issei before giving a yawn. Well, I know it is about 7 or so, but I'm feeling tired. Do you need any help unpacking? Asked Issei. No thanks, Issei. We should be fine, said Irina happily, with Zenobia nodding in agreement. Cool. In that case, I'm going to bed. I normally leave for school at 8, so I'll come and give you a both knock at the door at 5, too, in case you want to go together. If you need more time to prepare, that's fine, but the offer is there, said Issei before heading upstairs. Issei made his way to his room, opened the door, and made his way to his bed before lying down on it, promptly falling asleep, ignoring the fallen angel who had been trying to get his attention on the bed completely, much to her chagrin. Scene break. As Issei said, he woke up, got dressed, and made his way down to Zenobia and Irina's floor at 5, and to knock on their doors. Both girls were ready to go, and the trio made their way to school, which started to set off whispers. High school always gossiping, thought Issei in amusement. As the 3 made their way to the classroom and sat down, Rainier made her presence known by standing on Issei's desk instead of lunging on it. Finally, I've been trying to talk to you for hours. Don't you know it's rude to ignore a girl? Ranted Rainier. Also, rude to kill someone, thought Issei dryly, causing Rainier to laugh and resume her usual position on Issei's desk. I suppose that's fair. Oh, look, who just walked in? Standard-looking female student with larger breasts than average, commented Rainier. Issei turned and noticed Murayama had indeed entered the classroom in a move that thought surprised Issei. Give a small smile and a wait, which Issei returned over the moment. Okay, that's it. I can see defeat. You are clearly the luckiest pervert in the world. To get a girl who used to peek on to like you, this is unfathomable, uttered Rainier in shock. Issei heard a few people begin to mutter at this recent turn of events and couldn't help but laugh internally. What a week, thought Issei in amusement. Scene break, lunchtime. Come lunchtime, the trio of former peepers made their way at the same spot as the day before. After all, even though they stopped peeping, the spot was pretty comfortable, providing a large source of shade. Teach us, master, cried Matsuda and Motohama once Issei sat down. What? Asked Issei in surprise. How on earth did you make Murayama so nice to you? You used to peek on her as well, but you didn't smash to your shinai into your trousers, asked Matsuda, wincing slightly at the phantom pain he felt. I just talked with her. It isn't that hard, answered Issei in bewilderment, which was compounded when Motohama produced a notepad from somewhere, glasses fixating on him intensely. About what? Asked Motohama eagerly. Well, she did ask me for my reasons for agreeing to go on a date with her, started Issei, only Motohama to eagerly start scribbling. What did you say? Asked Motohama, not looking up from his notepad. The truth, firstly, that it would be really funny to see how badly you two flounder on your dates. Secondly, that I have no plans this weekend. And lastly, who wouldn't want to go out with a date with a beautiful girl like her, recalled Issei. Whoa, that is gold, said Motohama in awe as he finished writing and looked up at Issei. With words like that, no wonder you've gotten a harem, asked Matsuda in admiration. What do you mean? Asked Issei in confusion. You must teach us to be like you, Issei. We will never tell you to go die again, as you were clearly sent to this planet to impart your wisdom on lowly perverted mortals, such as us, said Matsuda and Motohama, nodding in agreement. Okay, first rule then. Don't say stupid stuff like that, said Issei, to which Motohama ditfully took notes, causing Issei to sweat drop. Secondly rule. Always be truthful with a girl. Be genuine and don't lie to her, continued Issei. Third rule. Third rule. You know what? The third rule is to obey the first two rules. Don't be overly perverted and honest and genuine with a girl. That's really all you need to do, finished Issei thoughtfully. As the duo haremless perverts listened to the wise words of the harem-possessing pervert, none of them noticed a girl listening to them a short distance away with another person in eye hearing as well. Line break. The day finished off normal for Issei. Only this time, he made his way home with Zenobia and Irina now. Issei thought about asking Irina if Michael had told her anything about Grendel and what he and Dulio had investigated, but reasoned that if only Irina only had two wings, she probably wouldn't even been told and decided to visit Heaven himself to get answers directly from the source. As the familiar door appeared in front of Issei, he entered the light and eventually made his way to the 6th floor. Only Michael was present at the time, but that's all he needed for now. Issei, I wasn't expecting you back so soon, said Michael in surprise. I was just wondering about a few things to do what Dulio and I found, said Issei. What's on your mind? Asked Michael calmly. Well, for one thing, does Irina know about any of this? For the matter, exactly who does know all about this? Asked Issei. Irina does not know, and outside of the Seraphs and Dulio, only you know the situation as well, answered Michael. I see. I also have a question more directly related to the issue at hand. Exactly how strong are the current measures we fought against dragons? For that matter, since I'm familiar with it, what kind of chance does Ascalon have against someone like Cromcrunch? Asked Issei. In reverse order, Ascalon would be capable of severely wounding and even killing a dragon of Cromcrunch's caliber. The only problem is that having someone who can fight him and survive long enough to be able to use it at its full potential. Aside from Ascalon, there is no great deal many items we can use that are capable of specifically harming dragons, explained Michael. Said Issei thoughtfully before causing his boosted gear to appear and brought out Ascalon, sticking straight out of the red gauntlet. I suppose I should probably learn how to use the sword then. I mean, I can use the aura and boost it repeatedly for attacks, but I think a direct contact would work better, said Issei. You would be right in your line of thinking. However, without Ascalon, you yourself are capable of harming powerful dragons with your own abilities. Combine that with the boosted gear and you are a formidable opponent in your own right. However, given that you two are very skilled sword leaders and now living in proximity to you, training is a very valid option for you as well, said Michael. Issei raised an eyebrow at the fact that Michael was already aware of Irina and Zenobia moving in near him, but didn't dwell on it, as he saw Michael quickly walk over to the small wooden table and grasp for what looked like a few slips of paper. Now, Issei, what I am about to give you needs to be kept quiet, particularly from the devils and fallen angels. The devils more so, said Michael sternly. Issei nodded, prompting Michael to continue. You see, the Brave Saint system is ultimately quite limited to 54 angels at what. However, as I'm sure you know, the devils have a system allowing multiple people to be converted by those lower down in the power chain. The angels have no access with this, as it seems no angel is able to bestow this sort of power on anyone aside from the seraphs themselves. We haven't tested it with Dulio, as he does not have a habit to be rather restless. However, with you staying with Gabriel in heaven for close to a month, those on the door below were able to glean something from yourself, exclaimed Michael, surprising Issei. You mean that's what those energy tests were for? I thought that was just to measure my powers as an angel, coupled with boosted gear, questioned Issei. Indeed it was. However, through this process, we were determined that you may be capable of reincarnating angels yourselves. The boosted gear already possesses an infinite transferring ability, and coupled with that, it works on your desires in response to your will, said Michael, before handing Issei's 3 blank cards, completely white on both sides. We were able to develop a few cards, which may be successful at reincarnating someone into an angel. However, even when others tried to use these cards, they were unsuccessful, since they were directly created from the capabilities of the boosted gear. We believe only you can make use of them, finished Michael. Seriously gasped Issei, taking the cards in his nonchalant hand and looking at them in awe. That is actually quite interesting. Michael does make a valid point, and I do believe you may be able to do so, Issei. All sacred gears, not just mine, respond to the user's will. Given how you were able to come up with different versions of the boosted gear with your ability to promote, it seems you would also be able to successful at converting people through your transfer ability. It may also explain why your wings were red. My presense aside, commented Drake, speaking from the gauntlet. We are unsure on who just may work on. Highly religious people, common humans, devils, fallen angels, yokai, even dragons, but we are entrusting them to you, in the hopes that you will find people to use them on and inform us of the results, elucidated Michael. Devils you say, muttered Issei thoughtfully. I understand your thoughts, Issei, but you should follow through. Please be mindful of the ripples you may create, said Michael sternly. I will, said Issei calmly, fully expecting Michael to determine what he was thinking, given what Michael had just moments ago revealed to him. In that case, you may leave now if you wish. Gabriel is not here currently, unfortunately. However, if there is anything else you would like to discuss, feel free to come to me as well, said Michael. Alright, one last thing though. Should I tell Irina about any of this, asked Issei? If you do what I think you will do, which I urge to think carefully on before proceeding, you may, but only about the cards. It would be best to not to alarm too many about the possible threat of numerous evil dragons returning, answered Michael. Issei nodded before giving a small bow and leaving. Michael let out a small breath once Issei had left. I do not hope this doesn't cause even more tension between the 3 factions, thought Michael grimly. And that is the end of Chapter 12. Surprises. Chapter 13. Not the Fruit. As Issei returned from heaven, he was in his bedroom and sat down on his bed, deep in thought. Come on, you can't seriously be thinking about this. You already got fooled by her once. Why on earth would you want to try something like this again? Asked Rainier cynically. This is different. This isn't personal. This is about the future and possible battles it might bring, said Issei to the figure in front of him. Yet this can only occur through you. No one else. So if it is very personal, don't you get it? This is like an angel equivalent of her barrage. Can you really trust her again? I mean, really trust her, asked Rainier calmly. Issei looked at the cards for a minute longer before putting them on beside his table. Rainier smirked, but Issei looked at her. I'm not doubting her, but this is a big decision. I need some time to think about it, defended Issei. Sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night, dismissed Rainier with a wave of her hand. Sleep, that's not a bad idea, muttered Issei before taking off his school uniform. After Issei had taken off his shirt and blazer, he took off his pants, only for something to fall out of his pockets. Issei bent down and retrieved the small shiny object before chuckling at seeing it was a condom that Zenobia had kept flashing around. I mean, come on, Issei, she just wants your kids like that cat, drawled Rainier in boredom. Not true, since that wasn't her original goal, replied Issei. Whatever, although I'm surprised you're actually talking back to me now. Finally realized how much you want me, asked Rainier cheekily. No, but if I'm alone, there isn't anything wrong with talking to myself, replied Issei as he pulled out his pajama shorts and shirt before putting them on. So, if we have sex, does that mean you're just masturbating? Asked Rainier curiously. Issei looked at Rainier searchingly for a full minute, confusing her. Yep, you're definitely that part of my brain, since questions like that keep me up at night, said Issei with a small quirk of his lips. I could keep you up another way, purred Rainier. You actually can't, since you're not real, said Issei before grabbing a pillow and throwing it at Rainier, which caused her to disappear. Hey, that was rude, said an ignorant Rainier as she appeared beside the bed instead of on it, as she had been previously. Whatever, enjoy the silence for another 8 hours, said Issei as he climbed into bed and closed his eyes with a smirk. Ass, grumbled Rainier unhappily. Scene break a little later. As Issei awoke for the final day of school this week, he paused for a moment to reflect on the week so far. Man, this has been one hell of a week. I honestly couldn't have imagined things like this happening before, thought Issei in surprise as he dressed himself. It was Friday at night. Tomorrow would have been a very interesting triple date, which Issei was looking forward to, mostly to see how Matsuda and Motohama would act on a date, but also due to the fact that Murayama had managed to pique his interest yesterday. Her sudden friendliness puzzled him, and him had waiting to understand what could have caused the change. Just like yesterday, Issei left for school with Irina and Zenobia in town, before making their way to their class. What a week! I can't believe all of this stuff happened over 4 days. I doubt anything will happen today, though. That'd just be insane, said Rainier, once again lunging on Issei's desk. Well, this does actually give me an idea, and not just to spite you, since you really are me anyway, thought Issei, causing Rainier to look at him in curiosity. Line break. Come lunchtime, the trio of female enthusiasts were under their usual tree, only for Issei to surprise the other two when he stood up and told them to watch what he did next. In a move reminiscent of Matsuda's actions on Monday, Issei made his way to the Kendo club change rooms, but unlike Matsuda, waited outside the front door for them to come out. The emerging girls looked at Issei worriedly, but didn't say or do anything. After most of them had left, Issei patiently waited for the last two to come out, who were Kadase and Murayama. Hi, Issei, something wrong? Asked Murayama calmly. Well, not exactly wrong, but I was wondering if you would do me a favor, asked Issei sheepishly. What kind of favor? Asked Murayama, narrowing her eyes as she did so. Don't worry, nothing like that. I just wanted to know if you would teach me Kendo, if you weren't too busy, said Issei quickly. Both Kadase and Murayama looked at Issei in surprise. Really? Why the sudden interest? Asked Murayama curiously. Well, I know I can hold my own in a physical battle, but I think I have an idea on how to use it to defend against weapons might be useful, explained Issei. And how that just so happened to come to you today, out of all the days of the most eventful weeks of the year, said Murayama suspiciously. Well, it isn't like I planned it. But I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. There are always other people I can ask, said Issei coolly, turning his back on the duo and starting a pull back of the perverted duo. Will this affect tomorrow at all? Asked Murayama curiously. Nope, tomorrow is still set. This is a completely different thing, said Issei, pausing to look over his shoulder. Then I'd be happy to. It'd be interesting to see if your new physique has made you better target, said Murayama with a smirk. Oh, I'm sure I'll surprise you, said Issei with a wink. In that case, how about a quick spar after school, proposed Murayama. Sure, sounds good to me, said Issei, giving a wave on his shoulder as he walked back to his fellow perverts. The week continues, thought Issei in amusement, watching Rainier huff in irritation. Line break. Surprisingly, word had spread rapidly once again through the school as Issei suddenly taking an interest in Kendo. This also happened to reach the ears of a certain blonde. If we had known better, Issei would have most likely come to me for help. Help. Issei helped all of us, but we couldn't help him. We really are terrible friends, thought Kiba, his face fixed in his usual fake smile, even though beneath the surface he was downing in guilt. We need to do something about this. If both Zenobia and Irina could be forgiven, there exists a chance, however slight, that we may forgive him as well, thought Yuto, with a newfound determination. Scene break. Issei made his way to the outside sparring ring for Kendo Club, and located just a few stones away from their changing rooms. The school was largely empty now, and only a few people who had late-night activities remained. When Issei arrived, he noticed Murayama grabbed in her Kendo attire and was holding two shuni. You don't mind doing this test in your school uniform, do you? Asked Murayama curiously. Nah, it's fine. I'm surprisingly pretty comfortable in these clothes, said Issei, before quickly raising his left hand to grab the stick of the wood that had been thrown at him. Quick reflexes, that's good. It'll help you avoid from getting struck, appraised Murayama. Murayama walked over to Issei holding her weapon down, informing Issei that his combat was about to begin, yet Murayama circled Issei quickly before coming to a stop in front of him. Well, you have a balanced build, so a fairly basic opening stance would be your best bet, said Murayama, before raising her shinai in front of her, bending her knees slightly. Her left foot was positioned at a 45-degree angle, and her right foot was pointed straight ahead. Right hand above, a left on the suba. Lastly, Murayama was bent over so slightly forward. This is the stance you would want to take, instructed Murayama. Issei observed the stance before quickly mimicking it. Good, said Murayama with a nod before taking a few steps back. Now, before we start, do you need basic striking techniques? Asked Murayama. More or less, this stuff is based on Kenjutsu, which I've seen a lot more of, and we've watched all of you pick most of it up. I just wanted some hands-on experience, confessed Issei with a chuckle. Murayama gave a dirty look before her expression relaxed once again. In that case, let's spar, said Murayama. Issei nodded before the two eyed each other off. Issei waited for Murayama to make the first move as she quickly advanced on him and struck downwards. Issei held his shinai upwards, with a slight tilt to the left, causing the wood to clash to clack harshly. Issei then quickly brought his sword down on Murayama's right wrist, only to find it blocked. Murayama then leveled a strike that had been on the side of Issei's abdomen, only for Issei to strafe to the side and avoid the attack, beginning him closer to Murayama's right and attempting a strike to her head. Murayama blocked it as the two continued to trade blows back and forth. As the spar continued, Murayama started to find herself equally surprised and frustrated. Not only was Issei, a complete rookie, matching her, he was doing it so easily, almost as he hasn't even been challenged. After a few more strikes, Murayama decided to stop holding back and started leveling increasingly faster strikes at Issei, occasionally aiming for his left side as well. To Murayama's surprise, Issei found no difficulties blocking on either side, which was surprising. Blows to the left and right were not common, outside of those aimed towards the head, which made many at least a little bit unbalanced when someone could strike at both sides so fluently. As her strikes picked up in speed, so did Issei's. A furious clacking of wood on the wood was all the heard between the two, both controlling their breathing to a frightening level. Eventually, Murayama decided it was time to end this and aimed with a rapid thrust at Issei's throat. Murayama's eyes widened as she realized that Issei was not wearing the proper gear, and to strike his throat would be devastating, probably even crippling. Issei felt the intent behind the strike before Murayama had moved and quickly taken his left hand off the shunai. "I think that's enough for now," said Issei, gripping Murayama's shunai at the tip with his left hand, only a hand's length away from his throat. Murayama blinked for a moment, completely shocked that Issei had caught her strike, but thankful for it. "Yeah, that's a good idea," agreed Murayama. "I have to say, though, that was interesting. It is different when I have one of my own. Can't really defend against you without it," laughed Issei as he let go of Murayama's shunai, remembering how many times that shunai had met his flesh in the past. "Well, with reflexes like that, I think you'd manage," said Murayama, still a little awed at Issei's speed. "In any case, thanks for that. See you tomorrow, then. Hopefully I won't be too annoying, that you feel to reacquaint me with your shunai again, after this is that," said Issei as he handed his shunai to Murayama, who took it in confusion. "What do you mean?" asked Murayama. "Well, I'd say all things considered, just knowing the stance was all I really needed from this. I've known the strikes for years now. I can keep up with the movements, and as you've seen, I have excellent reflexes," said Issei. "Then why didn't you leave after that?" asked Murayama in confusion. "Two reasons. One, I wanted to test myself against what I would say is the best Kendo practitioner in this school. Two, is it so wrong to want me to watch you close up in action? Watching from a distance is fine, but before, when you would get up close and personal, it was usually for a beatdown. I just wanted to see a proper action is all. Have to say, though, you sure are dangerous with that thing," said Issei cheerfully. "So that's it then? You're done with Kendo?" asked Murayama, somewhat disappointed. "I guess. But I'll be sure to keep watching you," said Issei with a laugh before walking up. "See you tomorrow," said Issei, giving a wave on his shoulder. Murayama watched Issei leave in confusion before taking her shinai and widened her eyes. The tip was severely cracked and crumbling away, as thought one more strike would turn into dust. Something definitely changed with Ihodo, thought Murayama before going in to return to Kendo equipment. Scene break. "You were so close back then. If you didn't stop yourself, that thing would have turned into splinters," commented Rainier. "I know," muttered Issei with a blank expression. Rainier looked at Issei curiously before giving him an uncaring shrug. "Whatever then," sighed Rainier in boredom. Issei made his way to his apartment before heading to his shower. It hadn't been a particularly intense battle for him anyway, but he had still worked up a small sweat, and going on a date without showering probably wasn't the best idea. After showering, Issei made his way back to his bed while drying himself off, glared at the picture of Azazel. "That's so creepy. He's watching me sleep," thought Issei before trying to take a picture framed down, only to find it wouldn't budge. Issei frowned before sighing and simply throwing his towel over the picture. "That works," thought Issei before putting his pajamas and going to bed. Scene break. Finally, it was Saturday. Time for the big day. It was only as Issei made his way to school that he realized he had no idea what to expect. I don't know how to feel about wearing the same clothes as you did to make my date with you. That being said, didn't I punch a hole through your shirt? Did you have a replica or something?" asked Rainier as he walked alongside him. Issei was clad in the black top, black pants, and had a lavender jacket over the top, just as he had on the first date with Yuma Amano. That being said, he filled them out much more than he previously thanks to his training. Back to his current date, for one thing, he was mostly a passenger in this whole thing. Matsuda was the main part of the date, having asked Karase. Then Kiryu and Morihama had joined in, then lastly, he was roped in for Moriyama. I wonder if they will do better than you did. I mean, your date was very safe. Now that I think about it, the complete opposite of what a pervert should have done. I wonder if your friends will be the same. Probably not, though, pondered Rainier thoughtfully. Reaching the school at 15 at noon, he was surprised to see everyone else was there already. The girls were all dressed up in knee-length skirts, yellow for Moriyama, blue for Karase, white for Kiryu, coupled with sleeveless tops and a light jacket. Since it was rather chilly out, Moriyama wore a pink top while Karase wore a green and Kiryu a black one. Their jackets were red, green, and black for Moriyama. Karase and Kiryu respectively. Matsuda was wearing tan pants and a white short-sleeved shirt, and while Morihama was wearing blue jeans and a black-red checkered long-sleeve shirt. Sorry for making you wait, said Issei nervously. It's fine. We did say noon. The fact that we all happen to be here early is fine, said Kiryu, with the others nodding. All right. In that case, time to go to the first stop. On best for your date life, cheered Matsuda. Well, I guess ours would have been your worst. After all, how many dates end with death, laughed Rainier. Where's to first? Asked Karase suspiciously. A restaurant, said Matsuda simply before marching off. As the group started to walk, Issei noticed that Morihama had actually tried to make his hair neat. However, his hair was just as messy as always, causing Issei to softly chuckle to himself. Something funny? Asked Moriyama from Issei's beside. Nothing. It's just that Morihama tried to style his hair, but he clearly failed miserably, said Issei in amusement. Moriyama looked over at Morihama before noticing what Issei stifled a giggle. Matsuda led the group to a fairly nice Western-styled restaurant. It looked to be primarily specialized in burgers, with the appointment yet some crude made, flame-grilled slabs. The group of 6 entered and were seated after a minute, each couple seated across from each other, while Issei inside, Morihama in the middle, and Matsuda at the edge of their booth. To the restaurant's credit, the food was good, perhaps too good, as Matsuda was a little over-eager in his eating, causing Issei to snicker himself at Karase's slightly irritated expression. Afterwards, Morihama declared that they were going to watch a movie, and shockingly, the movie was not perverted. A rather simple murder mystery movie with a group of 20 people in all in their 30s being invited over to lavish mansion for dinner from a peer of their own in high school. Before this movie starts, I'm not coming if any of you pull something like this, said Issei to the group as they waited for the movie to start. Why not? Asked Kiryu. These things never end well, and not seeing someone for decades means you have no idea what to expect. For all I know, one of you could be crazed psychopath by the time you turn 30, answered Issei. I think if anyone went crazy, it'd be you, teased Kiryu. You know, considering that within a year you died, became a devil, then an angel, she's got a point, said Rainier, seated beside Issei. From left to right, Rainier was seated to Issei's left, Moriyama's to Issei's right, Karase to Moriyama's right, and Matsuda to Karase's right, Kiryu to Matsuda's right, and finally Morihama on the other end. That is so fucking confusing. The movie started off to the movies do, snippets of the ground information on various characters and their history, with the one throwing at the party on the island. However, once everyone arrived, the one who invited them was not present. Oh, you just know people are going to start dying now, grinned Rainier. True to her words, one of them, a model, was found dead, with a sculpture of the Eiffel Tower embedded in her chest. After a rather large man, a construction worker, was found the next day, impaled on the model of the pyramid. After the 4th death, a woman poisoned with venom from a spider found only in Australia. People had started snuggling up together. Moriyama was leaning into Issei's shoulder. Karase had shuffled over to Matsuda's to Issei's amusement. Morihama was gripping onto Kiryu in hand, partially burying his face into her shoulder. Issei tried and succeeded in containing his laughter, but Rainier gawked loudly from beside him, falling off her chair in the process. The movie concluded as Issei had expected, the host failing one too many times and becoming frustrated, revealing himself to the group, only for the man who had been impaled on the pyramid to have actually survived. Weakened as he was still able to bring the very same pyramid which had impaled him down to the head of their much scrawnier attacker, breaking his neck. After that, he came along with 2 survivors, left the island, concluding the movie. As the group left the theater, Morihama had calmed down somewhat, but held Kiryu's hand. Matsuda, on the other hand, was now walking as close to Karase as possible without actually touching her. All in all, Issei was quite surprised at the progress they were both making. It was then he glanced down and noticed Moriyama was leaning into his side and his left arm around her shoulders. Now, the final stop, declared Matsuda. As the 3-hour-long movie, the sun was officially beginning to make its way down. It was fairly on the high of the horizon, but another 2 or 3 hours it would have dipped down below the surface. The final stop, at Masuda and Motohama doing their embarrassing duet. Despite being embarrassed, though, it certainly created a fun atmosphere, so much that Issei mustered up the courage to go butcher a song of his own. One pop song later, Issei had found out, strangely enough, that his singing improved, and much to his embarrassment, had been forced to sing another by the group. Only this time, they had chosen it for him. Melody of the Wild Dance by SID had come up, and Issei smiled, being familiar with the song, in fact, quite fond of it. As he finished the song, Issei looked over to the group at 5 and noticed them all looking at him in awe. Is something wrong? Asked Issei nervously. When the hell did you learn to be a good singer? You suck just as bad as us a few months ago, said Matsuda in shock. Don't know, said Issei sheepishly. After that, the girls sang Study X Study by Style of S and surprised the trio of perverts. Wow, you sounded just like them, exclaimed Issei with a nodding of muted in silence. Well, Kadase and I have actually practiced a lot, but Kiryu did a really good job as well, said Moriyama happily. After a few moments of renderings of various songs, Matsuda promoted the ideas of couples singing songs together. This was quite a bit of grumbling, most of them feeling a duet was definitely not their thing, much more suited to people twice their age, but Matsuda persisted as they eventually gave in. As expected, Matsuda and Momohama tried their best, but singing really wasn't their thing. However, when Issei and Moriyama stood up, the other 4 watched in interest, looking forward to a duet but rather good singers. The song picked at random by 2 was possibly a duet between Daichi Moriyama and BOA. As the two sang, their friends watched in admiration. A duo was hard enough to pull off, even between 2 good singers, but the duo Issei and Moriyama made for an absolutely breathtaking performance. As they finished, their friends applauded, and much to their embarrassment, so did the other few who were in the karaoke club as well. I'm not doing that again, huffed Issei with a small blush. Moriyama with a slightly bigger blush nodded in agreement. But you guys were so good, exclaimed Kadase. Yeah, you were completely buried, as you know. Who would have thought that Issei was such a good singer, lamented Motohama with a worried grin. What's your secret, Issei? Have you been lessoned since last time, teased Kiryu. Actually, it is because you are an angel now. You didn't think that having a voice of an angel was an expression, did you? Teased Rainier. No, I just don't know. Maybe I was just having a bad day back then, chuckled Issei nervously. The group kept singing for another hour, but no more duets were sung as Issei didn't sing again, too embarrassed of the applause that might follow. When the group stepped outside, it had become dark, or at least it would have been, if not for the neon lights. The group walked out of the entertainment district of Ko and headed back to the residential part, where everyone lived. The group slowly splintered off, with Matsuda offering to walk Kadase home, which she actually accepted, causing Matsuda to smile and for Issei to raise an eyebrow. Looks like they did better than you thought, commented Rainier after Motohama and Kiryu left. So Moriyama, where to from here? Asked Issei. Just a bit further, that way, mumbled Moriyama sleeplessly. Which way? Asked Issei, only to see Moriyama was practically sleeping, walking, leaning into him for support. Issei gave a small sigh before slightly turning head towards his apartment. Oh, what are you going to do now? Take your back for some hot and steamy action? Teased Rainier. Issei deadpan at the apartment. I'm such a pervert sometimes, said Issei internally. Hey, you were thinking it, otherwise it wouldn't have said it, quipped Rainier. Issei sighed audibly this time, but didn't speak back to the fallen angel. My mind is messed up no matter what it seems, thought Issei dryly. That's the end of Chapter 13, not the fruit. Chapter 14, Gifts from the Mountain Village. When Issei saw the stairs to his complex, when he realized that he'd need to do so, and gently, without disturbing her too much, swept Moriyama into his arms and carried her up the stairs. Thanking himself for not locking his door, Issei opened his door and set Moriyama down on the couch before moving to the kitchen. It was close to 10 now. Too late for anything big, but Issei figured some tea would be okay. As the water boiled, Issei poured 2 cups. Moriyama started to awaken, after Issei had set the tea down on his table, prompting her to look around in confusion. This is my apartment. I don't know where you actually live, and you kind of fell asleep on me, so I brought you here. Tea? Offered Issei. Moriyama looked around for a minute before spotting her tea and brought it to her lips. Issei watched her hold up the cup between her hands for a minute, starting to water into depths. Issei, is there something wrong with me? Asked Moriyama softly. What do you mean? Asked Issei in confusion. I mean, is there something wrong with me that repels boys? Is it my personality? Am I too aggressive? Is it my looks? Am I unappealing? Asked Moriyama quietly. Oh, Looks like you aren't the only one with insecurities, commented Rainier in amusement. No, you're great. You're smart, athletic, pretty, and kind. What's second-guessing yourself? Asked Issei in confusion. If that's the case, how come no one approaches me with a romantic intent? I'm probably the least popular girl in our class. Hardly anyone looks at me anymore. Even before, back when the three of you peeped on us previously, that was it. I don't get it. What's wrong with me? Asked Murayama unhappily. Nothing's wrong with you. I guess some people aren't as interested in you. It doesn't mean that you're unappealing, just that you haven't met the right person yet, said Issei awkwardly. Do you know how it felt seeing both Kiryu and Kadase getting dates? Then to top it off, you had been asked to be my date, muttered Murayama unhappily. Issei stood up and moved over to Murayama before wrapping her shoulders into a one-armed hug with his left arm. Even if they didn't ask me, I would have loved to go on a date with you. You are a great person, Murayama, and a beautiful girl. Like I said before, any guy would be lucky to go on a date with you, spoke Issei soothingly. Issei, even with all of the girls you have after you, do I even compare? Do I even register on your radar? Just think of Irina and Zenovia, and I just can't see why someone would be interested in me. They're both so unique, both perfect in their own ways, spoke Murayama. She does have a point. Compared to people like a cat or an angel, she isn't particularly noteworthy, is she? Commented Rainier thoughtfully. It isn't right to compare yourself to others. You're special in your own way, said Issei. Murayama frowned at this. Murayama, let's be honest here. I was hugely hated pervert a few months ago. No one would have ever dreamed of me having a single girlfriend, let alone many. I didn't do anything to change myself, though. I just finally found people who appreciated what I had to offer. It isn't like there's some magical way to get people to like you. When you meet someone who appreciates you in the same way, you'll find out just how special you are, said Issei kindly. Issei was shocked when Murayama suddenly kissed him on the lips. I never hated you, though. I always liked you, admitted Murayama, surprising Issei. Oh, plot twist, said Rainier in excitement. Even when you peeked on us when we beat you, I always tried to avoid anywhere that would hurt. You never hit me my hardest. While I don't like looking at you like that, I felt an odd satisfaction that you wanted to see me. I wanted you to see me, just in different circumstances, confessed Murayama. Issei took a moment to reboot his brain. You've liked me? You like me? Asked Issei, dumbfounded. Yeah, and then with all those girls started showing interest in you, I could feel your interest in me slipping away. Sure, you stopped peeking on us, but even in class outside of it, you barely spared me at a glance anymore. It was like I no longer met the standards to be worth your time, answered Murayama. Well, to be fair, you have been pretty busy these past few months. That being said, I was of course prettier than her in both forms. It is only natural your standards were raised, commented Rainier calmly. Even though you were a pervert, you were my pervert. Beyond all that, you were genuine to me. I heard what you told the other two about being genuine. Even before this all, you didn't lie. Even though it was hugely inappropriate, you didn't fake interest in me. You found me attractive, continued Murayama. Murayama, you don't need to be like this. You are special, and someday someone will see you as such. You don't need to lower your standards to a pervert like me, said Issei seriously. Don't you get it? You are that special someone. No one else looks at me like you do. You see me as someone special. That's why it hurt you. That's why it hurt me seeing you with all those others. I know I can't measure up to any of them, and I felt like I was losing that one person who would ever see me as someone special, cried Murayama in equal parts of annoyance and sadness. I have to admit, I didn't see this coming, said Rainier in surprise. Even if you're interested in others, even if you've done things with others, I still want to be with you. It's not fair that one person for me is being taken away from me, continued Murayama. Issei was stunned into silence, not knowing how to respond to that. Funnily enough, Rainier was equally as stunned as there was a silence throughout the room for a good 30 seconds before Issei's brain rebooted once again. But why? I mean, there are plenty of people out there. You don't have to settle for me, said Issei in confusion. Don't you get it? I'm not settling for you, said Murayama before straddling Issei's lap and grabbing his head. I want you, said Murayama firmly, before pressing her lips against Issei's. It took a moment for Issei to react, but once he did, Murayama's joy he reciprocated. As the two broke away, Issei spared a glance at the fallen angel, still speechless on the couch, before giving a small frown. What is it? Asked Murayama in concern. It's just, there is some stuff about me you don't know, and it's pretty big, said Issei. Just answer me this, said Murayama firmly, getting Issei to look at her. Does it change how you feel about me in any way? Asked Murayama. No, but it may change how you feel about me and might what you want to reconsider you are getting into, said Issei. Murayama thought for a moment before surprising Issei as she went right back insulting his lips. Don't care then. As your feelings for me don't change, then I'll accept it, whatever it is. declared Murayama, shocking Issei. But this is really big stuff, stuttered Issei. I'd rather see other big stuff, unless you were all talk, said Murayama dryly, causing Issei to recoil slightly before smirking. So you're sure about this? Nothing will change your mind? Asked Issei teasingly. Yep, my mind is made up, replied Murayama, only for Issei's smirk to widen. We'll see about that. But in the meantime, said Issei confidently before picking Murayama, who quickly wrapped her legs around Issei's waist and held on his shoulders for support. Issei, gosh, fuck it. They're having sex again, guys. Okay, let me just get past this part and I'll move on. And that is where we're going to end off at chapter 14, because the rest of the chapter is them just nailing each other. All right. So thank you guys so much for the support on this series. It's absolutely amazing. There's a lot of 18 plus parts that have been a lot, and I'm just not going to read them, so don't even try asking me. It's just weird. But once again, what if Naruto was betrayed? I plan on doing, I'm going to try to do that series as like a whole entire movie, but I might just like record like a 1 hour and 40-minute part or something like that for the part 1 of Naruto Betrayed or something crazy. You know what I mean? Just a really long episode to start it off. Not usually like I do with like the 20-minute short ones. As I said before, yes, What If Issei Was the Son of Great Red Part 6 will probably be coming soon. I know I get a lot of requests of it. Oh my god, shut up. No, I'm kidding. But so, as I said from the beginning, Issei, the God Slayer, is born, or the God Killer, whatever you prefer. What if, he just, that story is going to be so good. I can't wait to make it. But basically the concept of it is that, well, if Issei, man, I really hate when that door opens because it makes me think someone else is going to walk in my room. But anyway, so the concept would be basically, I don't even know if I want to spoil it. So I'm just going to say the concept. So basically what happens is that Issei gets targeted by all the other people because they decided, by all the gods or all the factions and things like that, because they decide that he is too big of a threat as if the other dragon. They don't want to ever take the chance of having another war again. So they decide on him and Volley to getting completely killed and basically executed, and they made their final decision on that, with Sir Zex reluctantly doing it but eventually giving in, and that's how that would start. And Rias would try to defend his Parage, but unfortunately, or probably could assume what happens next, and then Issei goes fucking crazy. And that's how I'm going to start that off. I'm going to do it my way, so don't even try to change my opinion. So thank you guys all for the support once again. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button, and you will find out. Thank you for all the support. 30K fucking soon, baby. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD out.